Hey there. Welcome back to Behind Your Mind. I want you to take a deep breath. Maybe you're listening to this in your room, walking through the park, or curled up with a warm drink after a long day. Wherever you are, just pause for a second and check in with yourself. Have you been feeling confused lately? Like you can't trust your memory? Maybe you're always apologizing in a relationship, but you're not sure what exactly you did wrong. Maybe you keep thinking, am I too sensitive? Am I overreacting? Or maybe the bigger question has started whispering in the back of your mind. Am I being gaslit? That's what we're here to explore today. Not with judgment, not with fear, but with compassion and clarity. Let's walk this journey together. What is gaslighting really? Gaslighting isn't just a buzzword. It's a deeply harmful form of emotional manipulation. At its core, gaslighting is a tactic used by someone to make another person doubt their own perception, memory, or feelings, often to gain control or avoid responsibility. The term actually comes from a 1944 movie titled Gaslight, where a husband slowly manipulates his wife into believing she's going insane by subtly changing elements in their home, like dimming the gas-powered lights, and then denying that anything is different when she points it out. Chilling, right? But the thing is, gaslighting doesn't always come in such dramatic forms. In real life, it's often subtle. It happens in conversations, in glances, in the way someone dismisses your emotions or twists your words. Let's look at this key idea. Gaslighting thrives in uncertainty. The more uncertain you feel about what happened, the easier it is for someone to rewrite the story. Imagine this. You say, "Hey, I felt hurt by what you said last night." And they respond, "You're just being dramatic. That never happened." Suddenly, the spotlight turns from their behavior to your faulty memory or emotional overreaction. Sound familiar?
Let me tell you about Maya.
Maya had been in a relationship for over 2 years. In the beginning, everything felt like a dream. Her partner was attentive, affectionate, almost too good to be true. But over time, she began to feel off. She would bring up things that bothered her, like how he flirted with her friends or made sarcastic jokes about her weight in public. But every time, he'd brush it off. "You're remembering it wrong. You're too sensitive. God, why do you always make everything so dramatic?" Eventually, Maya stopped speaking up. She began to question her emotions. Maybe she was too sensitive. Maybe she did make things up in her head. But deep inside, she felt herself disappearing. That's what gaslighting does. It doesn't just cause confusion, it erodes your sense of self. One of the most devastating effects of gaslighting is how it slowly chips away at your self-trust. You begin to doubt your instincts. You hesitate before sharing how you feel. You may even feel guilt for thinking something is wrong. And here's the tricky part. Gaslighters often appear loving, kind, even generous in public. They might say, "You know how much I love you, right?" Or, "You're lucky I'm patient with you." These words mask the harm. They create emotional whiplash. You start to believe, if they're so good to me, maybe I really am the problem. It's crucial to understand this. Being gaslit doesn't mean you're weak or unintelligent. Gaslighting affects highly educated people, emotionally intelligent people, strong-minded people.
Why?
Because it's not about intellect. It's about emotional manipulation, and that manipulation is often designed to look like love, concern, or rationality. The more you care about the person, the more vulnerable you are to believing them. Alright, so now that we've opened the door and talked about what gaslighting is, let's step further in. Let's talk about how it feels when you're actually in it. Because here's the truth. Gaslighting can be hard to identify in the moment. It's not always loud or aggressive. Sometimes it's soft. Sometimes it wears a smile. And that's what makes it so dangerous. Let's break down some common signs you might be experiencing gaslighting, whether it's in a romantic relationship, a friendship, your workplace, or even within your family. 1. You constantly second-guess yourself. You ask yourself things like, "Did I really say that? Maybe I misunderstood. Was I overreacting?" When someone constantly tells you your memory or perception is wrong, your internal compass starts spinning. You stop trusting what you know. 2. You're always the one apologizing. Even when something isn't your fault, or you're just trying to express your feelings, you somehow end up apologizing. It becomes a reflex. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make things awkward. I'm sorry I made you upset. Apologies become currency in the relationship, and you're the one always paying. 3. You feel like you're too sensitive. Are your emotions always under scrutiny? Do they say, you're overreacting, you're too emotional, or you're just being paranoid? Over time, you may start to believe those words. You may suppress your feelings just to avoid confrontation, or worse, because you start to think you're broken for having them. 4. You're always explaining yourself. Every sentence needs a footnote. Every action needs to be justified. You feel like you're on trial, even for simple things, like why you didn't respond to a text immediately or why you looked sad for a moment. When you're constantly explaining yourself, it's often because someone is constantly questioning you. 5. You feel confused a lot. You can't quite put your finger on it, but something feels off. Your brain is foggy. You're mentally exhausted. You have to replay conversations just to make sure you weren't the one in the wrong. Confusion is not a flaw in you. It's often a symptom of being manipulated. Let's try something together. Close your eyes, unless you're driving, of course, and ask yourself this. When did I last feel completely at ease in this relationship? Was there ever a time when you could express yourself without fear of backlash? Did you ever feel seen and validated, not just loved but understood? If that feels like a distant memory or something you've never really had, pause. That could be a clue. Daniel worked as a graphic designer in a creative agency. His manager, Lena, was charismatic, articulate, and fun on the outside. But behind the scenes, Daniel felt something was wrong. Whenever he tried to assert himself, say, asking for credit for his design or challenging a last-minute change, she would guilt him. You always take things so personally, she'd say. You're making things harder for the team. After months of this, Daniel stopped raising his concerns. He became quiet in meetings. At home, he felt anxious, drained. He started questioning whether he was even good at his job. But when he finally shared his experience with a trusted colleague, they told him, "You're not crazy. I've seen her do this to others too." That was the moment Daniel realized it wasn't just him. It was the pattern. Let's talk about one of the most powerful truths about gaslighting. It doesn't happen randomly. It often follows a pattern or cycle. And here's a common one. Idealization. The gaslighter showers you with love, praise, or validation. You feel chosen. Devaluation. Then the criticism starts. Subtle at first, then sharper. You start feeling not enough. Denial and blame. When you point out the shift, they deny everything. Suddenly you are the problem. Reconciliation. Maybe there's an apology. Maybe they act sweet again. You begin to doubt yourself all over again. And then the cycle starts again. Sound familiar? If you're wondering whether you're being gaslit, these journal prompts might help clarify your experience. When did I start doubting my own memory or judgment? Do I feel safe expressing negative emotions in this relationship? How does this person respond when I set a boundary? Do I feel stronger or smaller after spending time with them? Have I changed who I am, how I speak, dress, or act, just to keep the peace? Recognizing gaslighting is the first step. It doesn't mean you have to confront the person right away. It doesn't mean you need to have all the answers. But it does mean this. You're listening to yourself again. You're tuning in to that quiet voice that says, something's not right. And that voice, it's worth trusting. It always was. So, let's imagine this moment. You've come to the painful realization. I think I've been gaslit. It's not just a passing thought anymore. You've seen the signs. You've lived the cycle. You've doubted your own truth long enough. Now comes the next question, the one that brings its own wave of anxiety. What do I do with this awareness? Let me tell you something up front. Healing from gaslighting is not about rushing to confrontation or winning the dynamic. It's about slowly, patiently reclaiming something that should have never been taken from you in the first place, your sense of self. Gaslighting cuts you off from your internal signals. It teaches you to mistrust your gut, to override your feelings in favor of someone else's version of reality. So the first piece of healing isn't external. It's deeply internal. It starts with something gentle like, I believe what I felt. My memory is valid. I am allowed to have needs, even if someone else dismissed them. Even if you don't fully believe those words yet, say them anyway. Write them down. Because this is how we rewire self-trust, by showing up for ourselves again, consistently. You might wonder, why did it mess with me so much? Why is this harder to heal from than other conflicts? The answer lies in what gaslighting targets. It doesn't just attack your actions, it attacks your perception, your reality, your self-worth. Imagine building a house, and one day someone walks in and says, "This isn't your house. You didn't build it. You imagined it." And they say it every day until you start to believe you're squatting in someone else's home. That's what gaslighting does. It makes you question what's yours. And healing means reclaiming every brick of that identity. Your thoughts, your memories, your right to feel and be. Sometimes after gaslighting, even simple decisions can feel overwhelming. Should I wear this? Should I say that? Am I allowed to feel upset? Here are a few tools that can help you anchor back into your own truth. 1. Journaling without judgment. Write down exactly what happened, just for you. No edits. No filters. Let it spill. Later, you can look back and trace patterns or see where your truth was consistently minimized. Sometimes, we don't see the gaslight until it's on the page. 2. Reality checks with trusted people. Talk to someone safe. Not someone who will immediately tell you what to do, but someone who will simply validate what you're going through. It can sound like, does this sound off to you? Am I overreacting? Or is there something here? Having your reality mirrored back by someone who believes you can be a bomb like no other. Anna had always looked up to her older sister, Lydia. Lydia was assertive, persuasive, and often right. Whenever Anna disagreed with Lydia, whether about something small like where to go for dinner or something big like their family dynamics, Lydia would say, "You're so dramatic. You always twist things." For years, Anna thought she was the difficult one, that she made things worse. Until one day, during a conversation with her therapist, Anna was asked, "Why do you take up so little space in your own stories?" That hit her like a wave, because she realized she'd been trained to minimize herself. And slowly, she began to name the pattern.
To say,
that wasn't just my imagination. That was invalidation. That was gaslighting. Her healing began when she started using her voice again, even just in private. Even just herself. Not all gaslighting situations can, or should, lead to a dramatic confrontation. Sometimes, the person gaslighting you is someone you can't easily escape. A parent, a boss, a spouse, a friend you're still emotionally tangled with. So, let's redefine what setting boundaries looks like. Sometimes it's not a speech. It's not a slammed door. Sometimes it's this. Not explaining yourself over and over. Refusing to argue over your own feelings. Walking away from conversations that go nowhere. Limiting how much personal truth you share with someone who doesn't respect it. You don't owe anyone access to your inner world if they've proven they'll distort it. Here's a radical idea, one we weren't always taught. You don't have to keep relationships that make you feel small in order to be kind. You're not difficult for needing peace. You're not selfish for needing emotional safety. You're not broken because you want your experiences to be seen and respected. Sometimes healing means saying, I can love this person from a distance. I can care and still choose me. Let's talk about what happens after the fog clears. Because life after gaslighting isn't just about avoiding harm. It's about reclaiming joy, intuition, and wholeness. Start small. Make choices just for you. Say no, without explaining. Wear what makes you feel good. Write your opinions without editing them to fit someone else's approval. Every time you choose yourself, you reinforce a new reality. My truth matters. I matter. Try saying this to yourself daily. It makes sense I feel disoriented. I'm relearning how to trust myself. I didn't imagine it. I experienced it. Healing isn't linear, but I'm moving forward. I deserve peace, even if they told me I didn't. Say it in the mirror. Say it in a whisper. Write it on a sticky note. But say it, because you are the voice that gets to stay with you long after theirs is gone. Gaslighting is an emotional betrayal. It chips away at your truth, your clarity, your identity. But that clarity? It's not gone. It's just been buried. You are not fragile for breaking. You are powerful for surviving. And you are worthy. Asterisk, so worthy asterisk, of a life where your reality is safe in your own hands. And as always, while these tools can support your mental health journey, nothing replaces professional care. And hey, if this episode helped you understand yourself or someone else just a little better, please consider subscribing, liking, or just sharing this with someone who might need it. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and remember, I'm right here with you, behind your mind.